Hello, Chattanooga. You're listening to AM 1240, 92.7 FM. Clutch with Keon Rose. I'm Keon Rose. Thank you for joining me today. And we are the day before the NBA Finals, right? It gets closer every day. And I have been looking forward to this NBA Finals matchup for a very long time. I think everybody has. Because, you've had all year to think about it. You've had all year to think about this finals matchup. We knew it was going to be this, right? I don't think anybody saw Golden State sweeping their way through the Western Conference and Cleveland sweeping their way through the Eastern Conference like that. But this has been, and this has felt inevitable for a really long time. And I suppose you could have discussions as to whether or not that's good or bad for the league. I don't necessarily care, right? Because I feel like when you pack on more fans, when you get more people to watch the NBA, the finals plays a big part into it. If the finals are great, we're going to forget that the rest of the season was crud. If the finals are terrible, we're going to think about the whole season as being crud. And, the same applies for every other sport, the World Series, Stanley Cup, Super Bowl. If the finals, if the championship is great, right? Like last NFL season was awful. It was horrific. And the whole season, I didn't do anything but complain about how bad the football was, right? Like we need to get rid of Thursday night football and, shorten these weeks back up and let the players rest, like all of that stuff. And then the Super Bowl was fantastic and we just forgot. Just immediately forgot that we were watching awful football for majority of last season. And I think the same would be true about these NBA finals. Now, here's the thing about getting the attention of people who are experts, right? Like 538.com had the 95% chance that Golden State wins. Lots of people been picking the Warriors. Not to say that no one's been picking Cleveland. In fact, you've got, people like Colin Cowherd who are just known contrarians picking Cleveland. And the sort of consensus of it is, well, experts have been wrong. Experts have been wrong about everything. Experts have been wrong about Donald Trump becoming president. Experts have been wrong about the stock market. Experts have been wrong about a lot of stuff. And the reason why it feels like experts are always wrong is because of a certain cognitive bias known as recency bias, where you remember the last thing that happened. And you also remember when somebody was wrong. You don't remember the number of times that somebody is right, but you will always remember when that person is wrong, right? Like the reason why people say the weatherman is never, ever good, the weatherman is always wrong, is because you always remember when the weatherman is wrong. How many times has the weatherman said, grab your umbrella, it's going to rain today, and then you grabbed your umbrella and it rained that day? Well, you expect him to be right, so you don't think anything of it, and you move on with your day. If the weatherman says it's going to rain today and then it doesn't rain, well, you're mad because you have to grab your umbrella and you remember when he's wrong. You remember when he's wrong. So you look at all these people and they're picking the Warriors. And I should probably tell you that they're probably right. Now, some people that are picking the Warriors in 5 games, I think they're being absolutely ridiculous. This series is a 6-game series at least, probably 7. There's no way that this is a 5-game series. It's just not going to be that cut and dry. But that being said, make absolutely no mistake about it. If they are picking the Warriors, if the experts are picking the Warriors, especially like 538.com, because there was a sort of breakdown of how disrespectful they were being to the Cavaliers for giving the Warriors a 95% chance. And it's like, well, okay, this is not them pulling a 95% chance out of their bottoms. They did math, and the numbers say Golden State has a 95% chance of winning this series, which you can disagree with the math. You can disagree with how the math was done, but you can't disagree with just that they did math and came to that conclusion. right? Like you just can't disagree with that. They did math. That's the outcome that they arrived at. But when experts say something, they're usually right. You just don't remember because you expect them to be right. Right? Like that's where it is. You expect an expert to be correct. So when they're right, you don't think anything of it. And when they're wrong, you want to call them out. You want to get on Twitter and light them on fire. You want to do all of these things. And I'm telling you, the experts are probably right. They're probably right. Like the Warriors are loaded. Your eyes are not deceiving you. They're a stacked basketball team. And we can talk about how good the Cavs are compared to how good the Warriors are head to head. But like the Warriors have slightly, but they have more all-stars in this series. And, you know, Bleacher Report did a ranking of all of the players in the series. And there are people that are upset that Draymond Green was somehow ranked higher than Kyrie Irving. And Kyrie is great. Okay. Kyrie is great. I'm not about to stand here and tell you that Kyrie Irving isn't brilliant. The guy is brilliant. He is one of the best scorers in the league. And I think that's what makes him such a great fit for LeBron James, because LeBron doesn't have a scorer's mentality, right? Like LeBron can become a scorer, but LeBron doesn't have a scorer's mentality. LeBron has a passer's mentality. And that's been the brilliance of LeBron James and the longevity of LeBron James, and why, not unlike Peyton Manning in the NFL, LeBron James is going to have every record in the NBA record book, essentially, by the time his career is over, because he's such a brilliant passer and he sees the floor in such a way. Kyrie is just really great with angles, and his handles are so good. He gets whatever angle he wants, and then he goes to the basket and scores. And that mentality makes him great. But Kyrie is an awful defender, and let's not pretend like that's not the case. Like Kyrie, you have to hide him. You have to hide him in certain matchups. I think what makes the Golden State Cleveland dynamic so great is that Kyrie and Steph sort of offset each other defensively. They're both not great defenders. And Kyrie's an awful defender. Like this is not news. Like Steph is actually a slightly better defender just based on his ability to move his feet and the way that the Warriors play defense. It's a very team-oriented defensive style. But no, Kyrie's an awful defender. So I don't find it that unreasonable that Draymond Green is ranked ahead of Kyrie Irving. And the reason why it's not all that unreasonable is because Kyrie Irving is a sword. If you had to go weaponry as a comparison, Kyrie Irving is a sword. Draymond Green is a Swiss Army knife, right? Like, so Draymond Green wouldn't be as lethal as Kyrie would be, but you can do more things with Draymond. Draymond can rebound. Draymond can pass. You can run the offense through Draymond. You can post up with Draymond. Draymond can defend 4 out of 5 guys on a basketball floor, right? He can guard 2 to 5 depending on who it is. Draymond Green gives you simply more versatility and more utility than Kyrie Irving does. Kyrie gives you scoring. If Kyrie has an off night or is being defended particularly well, which he probably will be, right? Because I can't imagine that they just leave Steph out there on Kyrie the entire game, right? Like there's some point, there's going to be some hiding of Steph that we're going to find, and we're probably going to see a lot of matchups where Kyrie is guarded by Klay, and Klay is a fantastic defender, long arms, big for a guard, strong. I really like his chances against Kyrie. Granted that, like, you know, you still don't just one-on-one defend a guy like that. Like, that's just in the NBA. Like a lot of these guards are so quick and so good and so fast. Isaiah Thomas and John Wall and Russell Westbrook, like all of those guys are just hard to defend, generally speaking. But I like Klay's chances against Kyrie or slowing Kyrie down on some level. I don't trust Kyrie to do anything else outside of scoring, right? Like, he's not a great passer. Like, his assist numbers weren't great before LeBron got there. So it's not like LeBron came in and said, you know what? I got this passing stuff. You go ahead and just score. Now, Kyrie was not ever a great passer in his career, and that's not changed at all. And so I just don't know what extra dimensions Kyrie gives you in scoring, but I know what extra dimensions that Draymond gives you. I know that Draymond can give you being a rebounder and being a guy that can handle the ball and being a guy that can pass the ball and distribute. You can start the offense with Draymond. You can end the offense with Draymond. And they're always going to try and find that best spot on the floor for anybody to shoot, and the ball passes through. I like that about him. And of course it makes sense that he's ranked higher. Now, granted, there are things about Draymond Green that, yes, Draymond Green is a head case, right? The star in this series most likely to be tossed out of a game it's Draymond. That's not changing. That's true. The star in this series most likely to miss clutch free throws, probably Draymond. He's like 70%. 69, 70%. Right? Like the star in this series most likely to affect his team negatively of the two guys is probably Draymond Green. And I would still take all of that. I would still take every second of that for what it is that Draymond can give you, which is a little bit of everything. Right? And I think that why I think that Golden State is going to ultimately wind up winning in this series is Draymond Green is not the only guy on that team that can do that anymore, right? Like Kevin Durant is somebody that also provides that level of utility. Like, one of the reasons why we thought it was unfair that Kevin Durant joined the Warriors is because Kevin Durant is a guy that's capable of being Swiss Army knife-esque. He's never been the passer that LeBron's been, but Kevin Durant is a scorer. And since he's been in Golden State, they've had to have him be a rim protector and a rebounder and a slasher. They've had all kinds of things with Kevin Durant that, you know, it's a very, you have two guys who can do a little bit of everything. And then Kevin Durant is not just a good scorer, he's an excellent scorer. So like he has even that over Draymond Green. If you have two guys on your team that give you multiple dimensions on the floor, I will take my chances with that. I will take my chances with those people every single time. Every single time. So I'm leaning towards the Warriors. I'll let you know who I pick and in how many games. I'll let you know. But I'm leaning towards the Warriors, obviously. I just like their stars better than I like Cleveland stars. The Cleveland star that I like the most is LeBron James, and everybody else, like Kevin Love is good, but we never had this idea that Kevin Love was the greatest, right? Like Kevin Love is an all-star, but Kevin Love is on the lower end of all-stars. And I remember because Kevin Love was in the Western Conference, he was a good player on a bad team, and Kevin Love wasn't making the all-star team consistently then. And I mean, he had all of the stats and all of the numbers. They weren't really resulting in any particular wins, but Kevin Love was either just being left off of all-star teams or just barely making all-star teams. And that sounds about right. Kevin Love is a lower-end all-star. He is not the straw that stirs the drink for this team. That's not his job here. Kevin Love is on the lower end of all-stardom. So I just like Golden State stars more, which is not surprising, right? Like that's the reason why we thought the Kevin Durant thing was so unfair when he joined. But I just do like Golden State stars more, and I just have trouble betting against that number of star power, right? It feels bad because I also have trouble betting against LeBron James. It's tough. There's the two people in sports that I have trouble betting against is Brady and LeBron. And if you bet against Brady and you bet against LeBron, like you really need to have a fantastic reason as to why it is that is happening. You really do. And I feel like Steph and Kevin Durant being MVPs together on one team, I feel like that's a pretty good reason to go on ahead and bet against LeBron James. You're listening to Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. I'm going to shift gears a lot here and jump around to college football because I want to talk about Gus Malzahn and his wonderful comment about the SEC and how he feels like he needs Auburn to go on ahead and be in the SEC East because it would make more geographical sense. Now, I was looking at a map of SEC schools, and yeah, the SEC map is drawn weirdly, right? Like the teams in the West are not necessarily as far west as some teams in the East, right? Like Auburn is further east than Missouri is, and Missouri is in the SEC East, and Auburn is in the SEC West. And I understand the confusion there and people wanting to avoid said confusion there. That all makes sense to me. But I feel like Gus Malzahn wanting to be in the SEC East has less to do with the fact that this makes geographical sense and more to do with the fact that Gus Malzahn, he doesn't want to play Nick Saban every year. Like, come on, Gus Malzahn is not that altruistic. He is not that altruistic. Gus Malzahn does not want to play against Nick Saban every single year. He doesn't, right? Like Gus Malzahn is not out here trying to figure out how to try and win the SEC West for the next 5 years, right? Because that's how long Nick Saban's contract extension is that Nick Saban is going to be the coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide for at least 5 more years. And Gus Malzahn, you're going to be basically judged against how often you can win your division. Well, if your division is the SEC East and you're Auburn, yeah, if Auburn were in the SEC East right now, I would have picked them to win it. And last year, you could have picked them to win it too. Because, my God, Florida won it. Florida won it, and Florida went through, what, 2-3 quarterbacks last year? Like, winning the SEC East, if you're just leaving the West, is really easy to do. Gus Malzahn does not want to have to face Nick Saban every single year. So, yeah, Gus Malzahn likes the geographical sense that it makes. But this is not about geography. I have trouble believing that Gus Malzahn cares that much. I have trouble believing that Gus Malzahn is that big of a guy going, yeah, this makes geographical sense. It sure does. He's not wrong, right? Like, he's not incorrect. Just go ahead and Google a map of the SEC East and the SEC West. He's not wrong. This makes a ton of sense, but Gus Malzahn's not that altruist. This is selfishness. This is a man that is looking out for himself. And I can't even really be mad at him. Gus Malzahn does not want to face Nick Saban every year. That's not what he wants. Gus Malzahn is trying to run away from Nick Saban the same way that everybody is trying to run away from Nick Saban. Right? Because Missouri ought to be in the SEC West. And like, you know, you're looking at Missouri and you're like, really? Missouri's not great anyway. Why not just strand them in the SEC West where they have no chance to compete? Just leave those guys over there. Let us into the East. We dominate. And then the one time we have to face Alabama is in the title game. And anything can happen in the title game, and that could be the new Iron Bowl right there. The way he was explaining it too, it was so earnest. Like, he looked like he was really trying to make the case that the geography is why he had this opinion. He was seriously trying to make the case that the geography was why he cared so much. Come on, Gus. You're not fooling anybody, dude. You are not fooling anybody. We are not here about this geography. You don't want to play Saban. You don't like the geography of having to play Nick Saban all the time. And I get it. Because as long as you're in the West, all roads run through Alabama. So I understand. All roads run through Alabama if you're in the West. And Gus Malzahn trying to run as fast as humanly possible away from Nick Saban and away from the Crimson Tide, that to me is the smartest of all things. I'm not blaming him, but the fact that he seems to be claiming that this is all about the geography. Gus, you don't care about the geography, man. You're not trying to play Nick Saban every year. Touch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. We're going to get back to NBA Finals talk in just a little bit. And somebody graffitied LeBron's house. We'll talk about that too. Next. Touch with Keon Rose.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM's news. Now.
On Signal Mountain, the police say that two men pulled up in a vehicle and pointed a gun at two men and demanded their money. The victims are an unnamed man and a juvenile. The police say that the gun that was used in the robbery, however, was not a real firearm. It was a replica gun, looking very realistic. The police say two suspects are in custody. One is a 16-year-old and the other an adult, both charged with armed robbery. The EPB credit union was robbed on McCauley, and the police say that no suspects have been arrested yet and nobody was hurt. The FBI is assisting in the investigation. The Sheriff's Department in Grundy County says they have a suspect after items were taken from a cemetery in Grundy County. A 37-year-old Misty Melton Jackson is wanted in connection with these thefts. Deputies tried to arrest her earlier, but she escaped on an ATV. New jobs for the Scenic City Aerotech, looking to fill over 200 positions at the Chattanooga Volkswagen production facility. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News, now.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Becoming fair out there through your nighttime hours. Mild overnight, lows right around 62. Now for your Thursday, another pretty good day. Partly cloudy, mainly dry, warm, highs 85 to 87. Just a slight chance of a shower late Friday, highs mid-80s. Tired of the pressures and hassles of car shopping? Come see what more people are making the short drive to Jackson Chevrolet Buick GMC in Lafayette or online at jacksongm.com. That's Jackson Chevy Buick GMC in Lafayette. And I'm Source 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr on Nooga Radio AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Need windows? Hey folks, do you need new windows? Good news. Window Depot of Chattanooga has a great special going on right now. 10 high-quality, energy-efficient double-hung vinyl windows installed for only $29.90. That's right, 10 double-hung vinyl windows, only $2,990. And yes, they qualify for the TBA rebates. Call 894-0011. Window Depot of Chattanooga today, located at 5950 Shalford Road. Call 894-0011 today.
The American dream. Home ownership. Are you building equity for your landlord? Why not build that equity for yourself and your family? Rent No More is a no obligation, no cost program. It's designed to teach you the steps necessary and to coach you all along the path to home ownership. Integrity Mortgage Group is owned and operated by local expert Jeff Woody Woodburn. Jeff has been in the mortgage business for over 15 years. Born and raised right here in the Chattanooga area. Jeff is also known as the Lone Ranger. He's helped countless hundreds. Really eager to help you too. So don't wait. Come on, call Danielle right now. You need to reserve your spot for this exciting, informative event. Space is limited, so call now to reserve yours. It's free. 423-517-8004. 423-517-8004. Call 423-517-8004. Hey, Nooga Radio is proud to partner with Integrity Mortgage Group to bring you Rent No More. Reserve your spot for this exciting, informative event. Space is limited, so call now to reserve yours. It's free. 423-517-8004. 423-517-8004. Call 423-517-8004. Stop building equity for your landlord. Live the American dream. Home ownership with Rent No More. We'll see you there.
I have the best steak selection in town. Name of the business is Don's Meat Shop, and I'm Donnie Raines. Just ask for Donnie. I make over 20 different types of sausages. Most of them are great for grilling. We have the best selection, best quality. We have the hard-to-find items. Don's Meat Shop.
He stole out so much cash, such a huge mountain of cash, that he's become a national star. Rick Davis. You know the story. Cash, 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 and more cash. People can't believe it. They want to see it. And now Rick Davis has a new TV show. National TV, USA and Canada. He's got the gold and silver, diamonds and rings. You get dizzy just thinking about it. Rick's selling. Rick's buying. Cash, 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 and more cash. And now a mountain of cash catching the Hollywood spotlight. You know where it is. Brainerd Road. Rick Davis, Gold and Diamonds. Cash, 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 and national TV cash. That's really big. Everyone wants to see it. Money flying out the door. Rick Davis is America's jeweler. It's better than Hollywood. It's right here. Cash, 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 and more cash. Rick Davis, Gold and Diamonds. Brainerd Road.
You love me. You really love me.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
I'm blowing everything up. We're starting over. I'm doing a new show. I want guys who push it to the middle of the table and go over the top. Take a risk, fail miserably. I'm right, and I'm not wrong, and I'll never back down. Conflict works. Allow it.
It's The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Right here and everywhere. Noon Eastern.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Gonna get to some draft news first, and then we'll get back to some final stuff. Clutch with Keon Rose at AM 1240, 92.7 FM. So I'm reading a report here about Lonzo Ball. And I look, I said this would happen. His dad's going to cost him some stuff, man. His dad's going to cost him some stuff. This is the news here. So Lonzo reportedly has a workout scheduled with the Lakers next week. And there is a growing sense that if Lonzo does not, and a quote, blow the doors off of the Lakers workout, the Lakers could take somebody else. The Lakers might not take Lonzo, to the point where he has been now willing to meet with the 76ers and possibly the Sacramento Kings, depending on how things go with the Lakers, because if they don't go great with the Lakers, not good, great, then they may not take him. They absolutely may not take him. And I'm not as high on Lonzo as a lot of people are. I like Lonzo a lot. I think Lonzo's going to be great. I'm a very big fan of De'Aaron Fox. And it's possible that because I live in the South and I watch more SEC basketball, that I'm a very big fan of De'Aaron Fox. But I'm a very big fan of De'Aaron Fox. Like I've made very big deals about De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk all season long because I just watched Kentucky basketball and they're great. But when I saw De'Aaron Fox take apart Lonzo Ball in the tournament, I felt a little bit validated in my opinions on De'Aaron Fox, in terms of how much better I think he can be. Right? I think the ceiling is much higher on De'Aaron Fox, if anything, because he is an incredible scorer and he's much more athletic. Now, if you want to talk to me about the way that Lonzo sees the floor, the fact that he's a better passer, like all of those things are great. I'm still not a huge fan of Lonzo's shot. If it's a quick release, he'll be able to get it off. But it looks wonky. I mean, the thing looks busted. But if he gets the shot off, then then that's not really a great criticism at all. And you remember Sean Marion and that he'd shoot the ball from like his chest somehow, but the release was fast, so he got the shot off. So it doesn't matter how weird it looks. The shot got off. I don't know if Lonzo can get the shot off. There's lots of things to be concerned about with Lonzo Ball. And if you have those concerns, his father is not helping, right? Like the thing about LeVar Ball is this. If Lonzo goes out there and is great, right? Like he's just killing it, we're going to forget about LeVar. Okay? Because Tiger Woods' dad, Earl, very intrusive, very loud, very outspoken about his son. And then Tiger Woods went out on the field and just dominated, right? Just went out on the course and just crushed it. And so you didn't think about Earl every time you watched Tiger. You thought about Tiger, right? Venus and Serena's dad, very similar. The man said, my daughters are going to be stars. And before it made even any sense for him to say that, right? And you don't think about him all the time. Why? Because Venus and Serena were great, and they were great in their own right. If Lonzo goes out there and Lonzo kills it, we're not going to think about LeVar. We're going to put him to rest, right? But if Lonzo's not good, you're going to actually see more of LeVar, and you're going to hear more of LeVar, and that's not great for the Lakers or whoever it is that has Lonzo. Like, more of that guy is not better. And he's a complete distraction. Teams don't like distractions. But you can put up with distractions. You can put up with headaches if the guy goes out there and plays well, right? Like, we talk about it all the time because, like, the domestic abuse thing in the NFL where Ray Rice punches his wife in the elevator and then he's not in the league. Greg Hardy allegedly chokes out his ex-girlfriend on a pile of guns, and he gets signed by the Cowboys. Well, the difference there is that Greg Hardy was still producing. Ray Rice wasn't. And the moment that Greg Hardy was dealing with injuries and he couldn't produce, and then the legal stuff started to catch up with him, no one was going to give him a chance. No one was going to give him an opportunity. The opportunity is going to be there so long as you are good, and as long as Lonzo is good, it'll be fine. But if you're not sure that Lonzo's going to be not just good, but great, you don't want to pick up the headache that is his dad. You just don't want it. And I can understand that the Lakers just don't want it. It makes perfect sense. Now, we have another story, NBA draft story, that does affect, actually, Kentucky basketball. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. It's an interesting story to me because we were just talking yesterday about how the SEC, which was once a solid basketball conference, because I remember when Georgia was solid. I remember when Billy Donovan was down at Florida. Florida was great. Kentucky's been great for a while. Tennessee used to be good at basketball. And then I feel like the marketing of the SEC as a basketball conference fell off, and people stopped paying attention to it like that, right? Like, the marketing surrounding the SEC as a football conference has never fallen off. So even though the SEC had a down year as a football conference last year, the idea that they're going to continue to stay down is kind of a ridiculous idea. The idea that SEC basketball could just go ahead and stay down, that's not ridiculous at all, right? And the SEC has made great strides to try and fix their basketball problem going into the future. So, like, I don't have the sort of magic bullet to it, but I know that there's something that can make SEC basketball worse. The hypothetical scenario was, like, what if you took away Kentucky? Like, if you take away Kentucky from the SEC, what do you have basketball wise? You have an emerging South Carolina, and that's it. You've got emerging South Carolina. You've got watchable Tennessee. That's it. Well, Adam Silver's thinking about rolling back the one and done rule. He's thinking about taking that away. And I don't know who that hurts more than Kentucky basketball, right? Like, that take Kentucky away situation might just play itself out because John Calipari has made a living off of one and done, right? Like, his promise to every person that he recruits is, I can get you drafted. Well, if I don't have to come play for you, I can just go straight to the NBA. Man, I'm going straight to the NBA. And there's only like a handful of guys that really could just go straight to the NBA. But there's more than a handful of delusional guys who think that they can go straight to the NBA and try. And there's more than a handful of delusional GMs who are willing to swing at guys that maybe they don't know their potential and don't understand their worth in an attempt to try and keep their job and shake things up. at the organizational level. So this pretty much hurts Kentucky, who's been sort of the team that's gained the most. Kentucky, I think this hurts Duke a little bit because Duke has switched over to that one and done. We're going to get Kyrie Irving, and he's going to pass on through. Like Duke's going to be hurt a little bit, but Coach K was doing it before the one and done thing. Coach K will be fine. John Calipari, who we have legitimate questions as to how good a coach he is. We know he's a brilliant recruiter. How good of a coach is he? Well, you take away his lifeline. How good of a coach is he? Seriously. Like, do we really believe that John Calipari is the guy? Meanwhile, all of these smaller schools have gotten really good at finding unheralded players and developing them into solid juniors and seniors, right? Villanova, for instance, and being able to win national titles that way. Those schools are still around. I think you hurt schools like Kentucky. I think on some level you do hurt Tennessee because like Rick Barnes is basically that as well. Rick Barnes is a guy that's saying, yeah, I've got the one and done thing. Like I can get you drafted. Because Rick Barnes was over at Texas and he got Kevin Durant to come over all the way from Maryland. And I don't understand how he did that. But that was the single great season of Texas basketball worth watching, was the single season that Kevin Durant was over there playing. So that's part of Rick Barnes too. Like we lose both Kentucky and watchable Tennessee basketball. And then what have you got in the SEC? Like what's left? It's rough. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. So Kevin Durant has become the conversational topic that turns everyone into an idiot. Right? Like when we were talking, you have to have these sort of conversations in America on sexuality. And if someone is transsexual, where do they use the bathroom? And I feel like that is a topic that turns everybody into an idiot, right? Like it's the topic that turns everybody into your uncle at Thanksgiving, that he's just saying things that are not appropriate in life and hanging on to some pretty arcane ideas, right? And then if you have someone that's a little bit more liberal, then the ideas that they're coming up with are they're too out there and esoteric. Right? Like nobody seems to be correct when we're talking about sexuality in 2017. No one can figure out how to talk about this at all. And Kevin Durant is that topic. Right? Kevin Durant causes people, no matter what side of the issue you're on, it causes people to sound like your crazy uncle at Thanksgiving. Nobody has a correct way to talk about Kevin Durant. Nobody has a correct way to talk about this. And everybody's wrong. Everybody, right? If you think he should have gone, you're wrong. If you think he should have stayed, you're wrong. And it's not what you're saying that's making you wrong. It's how you're saying it. It's entirely how you're saying it. Paul Pierce yesterday compared Kevin Durant joining the Warriors to the kid becoming friends with the bullies to avoid getting beat up, which is insane because children fighting each other is not something that we actually want as a result, right? Like, so a kid not getting beat up is something that you actually want as a desired result. Basketball, whether Kevin Durant stayed in Oklahoma City or went to Golden State or went anywhere else, we would still want basketball, right? Like we're still going to watch this finals regardless of what Kevin Durant did. So that's just a silly analogy that doesn't make any actual sense, nor does it hold any actual water. But Doc Rivers has taken the mantle of let's figure out how stupid we can be in this conversation and just taken it to new heights. He has soared to a level that I have not yet seen. And Doc Rivers was talking about super teams and basically blasting them. This is what he said about super teams. He says that it's tough when you see a guy join a team, in Durant's case, what he did this year. That was tough for anybody that's competitive to watch. he lost and then he joined. Having said that, it was his choice. I have no problem with him, but it's something from a competitive standpoint you would think you wouldn't do. I have no problem with him doing it. It's just something from a competitive point for me. I guess when I played, it would have been tough for me to join Detroit. Having said that, he has the ability to do it. Guys are doing it, and there's nothing you can do about it. So it's a little insane when you consider that the Celtics got Ray Allen, and then they got Kevin Garnett rather, to join with Paul Pierce. Doc Rivers put together a super team, right? And turned the 30-win Celtics into a NBA Finals contender, and that the result of Doc's only NBA championship as a coach, his only NBA championship as a coach, came as a result of him constructing a super team, right? Arguably the next big three to counter Miami's big three. That was the result of what Doc Rivers did. And he did so to make it easier on himself, to make it easier to win. You can't win in this league without stars. The idea that somehow Kevin Durant was going to attempt to win an Oklahoma City with himself and only one other star, and that one other star is Russell Westbrook. And I have mostly only good things to say about Russell Westbrook. But Russell Westbrook is not the guy that you want to play with in the gym. Like, if you know anything about playing pickup hoops, it's that you want to play with guys that pass the ball. Nobody wants to play with the guy that takes 30 shots a game. But that's Russell Westbrook. That's the real life equivalent of that is Russell Westbrook. If you could choose not to play with that, right? Because we watched what Russell Westbrook did in the playoffs and some of the absolutely worthless performances that he turned in because he would not pass the basketball, right? And maybe you could say, well, his teammates are garbage. But his teammates weren't garbage the year before. His teammates were not garbage the year before. The whole reason why people wanted Kevin Durant to stay with Oklahoma City was, oh, look, he's got good teammates. It looks like they're trending in the right direction. It looks like Billy Donovan might be working out as a head coach with them. And we went from he's got good teammates to Kevin Durant left, Russell Westbrook has nobody. Well, it's not that he has nobody, but those guys don't know how to shoot the ball. They don't know how to shoot the ball because they're not used to shooting the ball. And they're not used to shooting the ball because Russell doesn't pass it. He does not pass the basketball. That's his MO. There's no reason why, if you're Kevin Durant, you stick around and you play with that, right? And I contend and continue to contend that Kevin Durant went to go play where the basketball was easier. And it's not because of the stars. It was because of the system, right? Systems attract stars. Systems attract people. People leave countries all the time to try and live in America because we have a democracy. The system of our way of life has resulted in the stardom and not the other way around, right? Like, the stars didn't make the system in America. We've got a lot of rich people in America, right? And a lot of brilliant people in America. We have Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, but we're not America because we have Bill Gates and Warren Buffett. In fact, the other way around. Because we're America, the country, the system created the opportunity for you to have a Bill Gates and a Warren Buffett. That's what it is. And Kevin Durant's not joining the Warriors because they've got stars, because Steph was always good, but Steph didn't become an MVP until Steve Kerr showed up with that offensive system. You want to join the system. Kevin wanted to join the system. And the fact that that results in a super team, quite frankly, is a byproduct of wanting to join the system, right? Like, not just, oh, look, let me join these guys because of what it is that they're doing. Now, I thought it would be nice to see Kevin Durant play with the Celtics, if in some small part, because Brad Stevens is a guy that has a great system and like no superstar to really apply that system. I want to know what would ever happen if you gave Brad Stevens a superstar, because his teams execute so well. And I guess we'll just have to not find out until the Celtics can find a way to either draft him one or get him one via free agency. But Kevin Durant wanting to play in Golden State and play for that system, that makes perfect sense, right? Like the reason why LeBron went down to Miami, yes, it was to play with Wade and Bosh. Those guys are his friends. Those guys are his boys. But part of it too was to play for Pat Riley. And Pat Riley had a system, and the system was working, and people will join and flock to a system that makes sense. Right? They'll flock to a system that makes life easier, that makes life better. The assembly line is a system that makes life easier. You can't get mad at people for wanting their lives to be easier. That doesn't make any sense. If I offered you a job that was an easier version of the job you do now, right? Same job, the same job, but it's easier. Wouldn't you take that? Like nobody was saying no to computers when they were bringing computers in the workplace. Would you like your accountant to still be doing the math by hand and a calculator? Or would you rather him use a computer? But this just doesn't make any sense. Like, why would you get mad at somebody for wanting to make their lives easier? Well, as a competitor, blah, 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 blah. Well, you still want your life to be easier. And the Warriors have the easiest system that there is. And the system has allowed the players to be great. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Nooga Radio, AM 1240, 92.7 FM.
Competent, kind, caring, knowledgeable, experienced, great listener, great negotiator, in touch, accessible. If these are the characteristics you want and need in a realtor, you want and need Thomas DeMoss of Keller Williams Realty. Thomas is a very gifted realtor who puts the client's needs first. Whether you're buying or selling a home, Thomas is the realtor of choice. Thomas will help and guide you through each step of this very important process. For many of us, the purchase of a home is one of our largest investments and most important family and financial decision. Let Thomas use his 10 years of experience in the Chattanooga real estate market to give you the advantage you need when buying or selling a home. Buying a house? Thomas can help you navigate the emotional and somewhat anxious process of buying a home. For those of you who want to sell a house, Thomas uses his marketing and negotiating experience to help you sell your home for top dollar. Thomas is a local resident, raising his family here in Hamilton County. He knows the area very well. For many agents, real estate is a job. With Thomas DeMoss, it's a passion and what he loves to do. Call Thomas today for a no-obligation consultation. He makes the process as simple as possible. Call 423-364-0028 and visit his website, northriverpropertygroup.com.
Picture that curl of steam rising from your fresh-made pizza. And in a flash, let it take you aloft, teasing all your senses. I'm talking about Jet's Pizza. If you eat out at Jet's in Hickson or take home your steaming deep dish square pizza, you'll love Jet's. They use only the best ingredients in a family recipe. Also try the cheesy bread, wings, chicken, or bread with bacon, antipasta or Greek salad. Jet's Pizza at Bilo near the S-Curves. Open till 10 p.m. Sunday through Thursday and 11 p.m. Friday and Saturday. You can order online or have it delivered. jetspizza.com. That's jetspizza.com. Or call them now. They'll have it ready when you get there. 757-1616. That's 757-1616.
Jet's Pizza, the best pizza in town. 3600 Hickson Pike.
Life is short. Eat better pizza.
Let's get Jet's.
Final expenses, funeral cost, cemetery lots, unpaid medical bills, probate cost, debts. Debts are due and payable upon death of debtor. Will these costs produce a burden and hardship on your loved ones? Who will be responsible? How will they handle them? These costs can total many thousands of dollars, only compounded greater with the grief of losing a family member. A safe and secure way to provide for these costs is with an affordable life insurance from Covenant Group Insurance and Financial Services. Covenant Group is a local company with local agents. Covenant Group still makes house calls. Covenant Group only represents A-rated companies. With many options to offer, Covenant Group can accommodate almost any budget. Great discounts for good health and plans available for impaired risk. Call today for a free, no-obligation consultation in the convenience of your home. Call Steve or Jada at 423-855-8484. Call today, 423-855-8484. Are you looking for a gospel-oriented, covenantal, family-friendly Reformed church? Dayton Reformed Presbyterian Church is a body of Christ-centered believers gathering for worship on the Lord's Day from around southeastern Tennessee. Our congregation is reformational in its outlook. It has a traditional worship service regulated by the Word of God. Prayer, singing the Psalms, reading God's holy Word, teaching, preaching the Bible, the administration of the sacrament. Dayton Reformed Pres, committed to the authority of the Bible as the inerrant, infallible Word of God. As Westminster Confession of Faith directs every Christian, we aim to glorify God and enjoy Him forever. As a Reformed church, our purpose is teaching and preaching the gospel, making and training disciples of Jesus Christ, taking dominion for our Lord's sake by applying God's holy and perfect law to every area of life. We would be honored to have you join us for worship. Dayton Reformed Presbyterian. This Sunday morning at 11 at Dayton Community Chapel, 184 Mulberry Avenue, Dayton. Click DaytonRPC.org. Click DaytonRPC.org. 184 Mulberry Avenue, Dayton.
It is Eric Jones hard into the outside wall, and they are still 3 and 4 wide. It looks like we're racing at Talladega.
Caution flag is out. It looked like Denny Hamlin was trying to get by Ricky Stenhouse. Got into the back of Ricky at the line. Man, that's a close one. Matt Kenseth wins stage 1.
Green checkered flag is out, and Brad Keselowski has won stage 2.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. into the wall. That will bring out the caution. Caution waving once again. And again, it's Dale Earnhardt Jr. involved.
Oh, trouble. Ty Dillon has gotten turned to the inside of the racetrack, and Clint Boyer has just nailed him.
Matt Kenseth falling back, the field storming by. Something wrong. Now we see sparks from Kenseth's Toyota.
Larson chops him off. Coming off turn number 2. Goes to tail. Now it's Logano to the high side in 3.
Joey Logano, a winner here at the Richmond International Raceway.
Hear it live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station.
Nooga Radio, AM 1240, 92.7 FM.
The voice of NASCAR. WDLZ HD4 Ottawa, W224AZ Chattanooga, WSDG Sunny Daisy Chattanooga.
Will the U.S. pull out of the global climate change agreement?
You're going to find out very soon.
A suicide bombing in Kabul, Afghanistan.
And the result? Devastating.
With hundreds of casualties.
A never-ending line of horror.
This is the CBS World News Roundup Late Edition. I'm Dave Barrett. Nearly every nation has signed on to the Paris Agreement that tackles climate change issues. President Trump had campaigned against that deal, and he wants to renegotiate it. We're waiting on his decision. So is White House correspondent Stephen Portnoy.
The president has conveyed to confidants that he will pull out of the agreement.
You're going to find out very soon.
Republicans have argued the accord agreed to by Barack Obama in 2015 will hurt the U.S. economy. But U.S. allies and prominent business leaders have urged Mr. Trump to not depart from the Paris Agreement. Tesla CEO Elon Musk says if the decision is final, he'll quit the president's Business Advisory Council.
I'm hearing from a lot of people. Both ways. Both ways, believe me.
Stephen Portnoy, CBS News, the White House.
John Cookett is with the Sierra Club. Should the U.S. decline to be part of these goals to fight climate change?
It's become pretty clear that the rest of the world is going to move on without us, that this decision by the president won't impact the actions of the rest of the countries.
Lionel Barber is editor at the Financial Times.
It's not going to go down well amongst allies. They will look at America and say, why are you pulling out when big business, companies like Exxon, is backing the deal?
At the environmental group 350.org, Jamie Henn says if the U.S. does pull out of this agreement,
the only people that benefit are probably the fossil fuel billionaires in the coal industry who are looking to eke out a few last profits before the economy moves towards clean energy.
Overseas, the aftermath aftermath of a huge suicide truck bombing in Kabul, Afghanistan. 90 people died, 400 others have been injured. CBS's Kylie Atwood says that includes
11 Americans there as contractors for the U.S. government. And while none of these injuries appear to be life-threatening, this attack is one of the deadliest yet.
This happened during what's been a difficult time recently in the capital. Correspondent Cammie McCormick.
It's one of the worst attacks in Kabul since the drawdown of foreign forces. And U.S. commanders have said they want more troops as the security situation there deteriorates and ISIS gains a foothold there.
Former FBI Director James Comey will testify before Congress. He spoke with Special Counsel Robert Mueller. And as for the investigation, not much on that today at the White House briefing.
All questions on these matters will be referred to outside counsel.
Steve Dorsey says on Capitol Hill.
The House Intelligence Committee launched a new round of subpoenas targeting ousted National Security Advisor Michael Flynn and President Trump's personal attorney, Michael Cohen. The subpoenas seek testimony, personal documents, and business records.
Cohen says he'll comply with the subpoena. Wall Street, the Dow lost 20. Now this.
2 little tablets can make your thin hair feel and look thicker and fuller, guaranteed, or your money back. Viviscal is the #1 drug-free hair growth supplement in the U.S., with 1 box being sold every minute globally. It's clinically researched to promote existing hair growth for men and women, and now a 90-day supply of Viviscal is offered in your area with free shipping. Call 800-350-6342. Viviscal nourishes thinning hair from within. You'll love your hair growth results, guaranteed, or your money back. Just pay return shipping and handling. Viviscal is so effective, it's recommended by doctors. Here's Dr. John Laura.
As a dermatologist, I feel confident recommending Viviscal. It's backed by 25 years of research and multiple clinical studies that demonstrated Viviscal's effectiveness in promoting the growth of thicker, fuller hair.
Want to try Viviscal? Every listener that calls now gets a 90-day supply with free shipping. 800-350-6342. 800-350-6342. That's 800-350-6342.
Figures show that more than 3,000 Ohio residents overdosed on opioids in 2015. And now, State Attorney General Mike DeWine is suing 5 drug companies, alleging that with that epidemic in his state,
these companies put profits above the health and well-being of Ohio consumers. And they did this by flooding the market with misleading information
about the dangers of painkillers, how addicting they can be. In Hillsboro, in southern Ohio, Alex Kazos is an ER doctor, says patients often are not aware of how addicting these medications can be.
Patients come in, if they don't get their pain medications, they threaten me, and they threaten to kill me. And that's very common in the ER industry, unfortunately.
And now with this Ohio lawsuit targeting the drug companies.
It's a step forward. I don't know if a lawsuit against the pharmaceutical companies will be the answer, but it's definitely a step forward to looking into this issue. And it's very complicated, and something needs to be done quickly because the country is suffering.
You're listening to the CBS World News.
3, 2, 1. Chattanooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM's news now.
On Signal Mountain, the police say that 2 men pulled up in a vehicle and pointed a gun at 2 men and demanded their money. The victims are an unnamed man and a juvenile. The police say that the gun that was used in the robbery, however, was not a real firearm. It was a replica gun, looking very realistic. The police say 2 suspects are in custody. One is 16-year-old and the other an adult, both charged with armed robbery. The EPB credit union was robbed on McCauley, and the police say that no suspects have been arrested yet and nobody was hurt. The FBI is assisting in the investigation. The Sheriff's Department in Grundy County says they have a suspect after items were taken from a cemetery in Grundy County. A 37-year-old Misty Melton Jackson is wanted in connection with these thefts. Deputies tried to arrest her earlier, but she escaped on an ATV. New jobs for the Scenic City Aerotech, looking to fill over 200 positions at the Chattanooga Volkswagen production facility. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News, now.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Becoming fair out there through your nighttime hours. Mild overnight, lows right around 62. Now for your Thursday, another pretty good day. Partly cloudy, mainly dry, warm, highs 85 to 87. Just a slight chance of a shower late Friday, highs mid-80s. Tired of the pressures and hassles of car shopping? Come see one more people are making the short drive to Jackson Chevrolet Buick GMC in Lafayette or online at jacksongm.com. That's Jackson Chevy Buick GMC in Lafayette. And I'm Source 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr on Nooga Radio AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM knows your opinion is important. So call 800-8949. Agree or disagree? Call 423-800-8949. 800-8949. Nooga Radio, AM 1240, 92.7 FM, and 95.3 HD4. News, talk, sports. Nooga Radio.
Hello, everybody. You're listening to AM 1240 and 92.7 FM, Clutch with Keon Rose. That's me. That's me. I'm Keon Rose. Thank you for joining me today, making me just a small part of your day. You know that I appreciate each and every one of you. The NBA Finals are tomorrow. I am leaning towards Golden State for a number of reasons. One, I have eyes, and I'm looking at the roster of the Warriors, and I'm looking at the roster of the Cavs, and I think that the roster of the Warriors is the stronger roster. Granted, last year I also picked the Warriors to beat the Cavs because I thought that last year's roster was a stronger roster, and I was not incorrect, right? Like the 3-1 lead, 3-1 lead. I was not wrong for 4 games in this series, but then LeBron stepped up his game. Kyrie stepped up his game. Draymond got himself suspended, and the series turned, right? Like that happened. But I think ultimately the Warriors are stronger than the Cavaliers. I picked the Warriors all 3 years of this, and I was right the first time. I was wrong the second time, and who knows what's going to happen this time? At least I don't have the Stephen A. Smith seven years of futility. And Stephen A. Smith has picked the wrong NBA Finals team for 7 years. So I suppose I don't have that going for me. But still, that being said, basketball is a pretty cut and dry sport, and I'm not the only one picking the Warriors, and a lot of it is people are just looking at the math and looking at the numbers and going, the Warriors are better, and I'm going to take the experts, and I'm going to take the numbers, I'm going to take the math most of the time, understanding that experts are sometimes wrong, and understanding that sometimes the numbers don't lie, but we miscalculate. We can be incorrect about stuff. The reason why the weather is sometimes wrong is because they're giving you percentages of stuff. They're usually right, okay? Most days out of the year, the weather guy's right. He makes a mistake 1 or 2 days, you say the weather is always unreliable. And yet you still check the weather. Why? Because it's mostly correct. You only remember when it's wrong. So I feel fairly confident in picking the Warriors. Now, the Warriors are in interesting territory. They're in the don't let them territory. Don't let them. Don't let them. And the reason why you don't want to let them is because the fallout from that tends to be pretty weird. I'm being cryptic on purpose. I'll explain what I mean. Donald Trump is in don't let him territory, right? Maybe the Russia stuff is all smoke and no fire. That's possible. But don't let it be true, though. Because the fallout from that is so insane that what do you do? What do you do if it's actually true? You know what I mean? Don't let it be true. Don't let it be true. That's the territory that the Warriors are in. Don't let them lose the NBA Finals. Don't let them lose it. I'm telling you, if the Warriors lose the NBA Finals, I don't know what you say here. First off, I feel like we're just going to have to go ahead and give LeBron that crown if somehow they win in the NBA Finals. Because this will be the second year in a row that I feel like LeBron James has been on the inferior team and somehow would have won it, right? So we're just have to go ahead and hand LeBron that crown. I don't think that the crown is something that gets handed off just for number of championships, right? Because Bill Russell won 11. Okay, and you can say, well, the league was smaller and all this stuff, but everybody didn't win 11, just him, right? So you do have to take that with some kind of a grain of salt. We just decided that Michael Jordan and his 6 championships was the gold standard of what it was. And if LeBron is somehow able to win 5 in his career against teams that were superior to him, right? Like the 2 Warriors teams that he would have beaten if he beats this one would have been superior to him. I feel like the year that they beat San Antonio, that Spurs team was superior to the team that he was on. The most years that LeBron James would have won an NBA title would have been against teams that were better than the team he is on. Right? That being said, right? I don't necessarily think that they're going to win. I look at it and I go, okay, LeBron is capable of stepping his game up. But what are the odds that Draymond Green gets suspended again? Right? What are the odds that Klay Thompson stays as ice cold as he has been? And what are the odds that somehow Kevin Durant turns into Harrison Barnes? Because I feel like Harrison Barnes was the difference last year. Harrison Barnes being absolutely atrocious in the NBA Finals last year. Missing corner threes, wide open corner threes. Like, I think he was like 3 of 28 or something in the finals. And at some point, it was just like, okay, man, all Harrison Barnes has to do is make open shots. They were just leaving Harrison Barnes alone, and he was not able to knock down open shots. Open shots. I don't know how to feel about that. I'm just saying, don't let the Warriors lose. I'm not saying they have to blow this whole team up if the Warriors lose, but Draymond has earned the max. They're going to have to give him a max contract at some point. Klay has earned a max contract at some point. Durant could be paid a max contract at some point. And Curry could be paid a max contract at some point. So you've got potentially 4 max deals. All of those guys can't make the max, right? Presumably, none of those guys would make the max. Presumably, right? Not one of those guys would make the max because they're all in the prime of their career. You can't have your owner paying the luxury tax that hard. You really can't have it. The owner paying the luxury tax that hard, that's kind of crazy. Right? So the luxury tax is kind of high for that. They're not going to have to pay out 4 max deals. Well, if all of these guys are together playing basketball together and the titles aren't coming, why do you stick around for less money and no rings? The whole point of this experiment, whether you're Durant or you're Curry, Draymond, or Klay, is, okay, more rings for us. We can play the basketball easier. It'll be less work. We've got other guys to carry the load. We can split this up. No one person has to be clutch. We can all do this together. And Kevin Durant took a pay cut, right? Kevin Durant could have made the max. Kevin Durant took a pay cut, as everyone tends to do on that second contract, right? So we need to keep an eye on the Gordon Haywards and John Walls of the world because they're now on contract number 2. And you're like, I want to take a look around and see what's in the world. I don't want to be stuck on a bad team making max money. Right? You want to be able to play where you've got a chance to win a championship. Well, people will take the max and not take the rings. People take the rings and not take the max. The issue here is if you've got 4 guys passing up on the max, which you would have to do if you want the contract to work out and if you want the team to work out, then you better be winning some rings. Like, championships actually better come from this. Like, people were telling me or asking me, which is worse? If Kevin Durant wins a title or if Kevin Durant doesn't win a title, Kevin Durant can't win either way. That was also an article on the USA Today. No matter what Kevin Durant does, Kevin Durant can't win with the media and fans. Yeah, but Kevin Durant can win in the league. He doesn't need to win from the media and fans. If he gets his ring and it's the result of him being on a super team, you know what? He still gets a ring that says NBA championship on it. And the only way this season does not work out for him is if he walks away after all of this, the injury and everything else, without a ring that says NBA champion on it. And then you do have to look at the construction of the Warriors, because even if Kevin Durant were to walk away, right? Like Kevin Durant were to look at this and go, okay, we tried the best that we could, and I just don't think we can win a title here. I'm going to walk away, right? If you're Kevin Durant and you walk away, like the Warriors still have to now figure out how to pay Klay, Steph, and Draymond their max. Like 3 max deals is still not that much easier to figure out than 4. Like that's still going to put you well over the cap. And you're still having to like figure out how to keep your bench together, because it's weird with Golden State. Their prime players are I mean, Draymond, Klay, Steph, Kevin, they're all in their prime. Your bench is old. So you have to figure out, or you have to figure you need to retool your bench. You need to come back around on your bench, right? Like you'd have to figure that. Man, don't let the Warriors lose. Don't let the Warriors lose, because there will be so many questions this offseason. There will be so many questions this offseason. Like if the Cavs lose, we already kind of expect it, right? Like they're the underdogs. I'm not saying the Cavs will lose or that people legitimately expect them to lose. I'm saying the experts are calculating that they will lose. And so, you know, Vegas, 538. The calculations are saying this is a team that's the inferior team here. Now, I want to say Warriors in 6 or 7, because like that to me makes the most sense. The people who are looking at this and going, yeah, this is a Warriors sweep, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. And also like the worst situation for the league. The absolute worst situation for the league. There's no way that the Warriors sweep whatsoever. And I don't think that those teams are far enough apart for there to be a sweep. You know what I mean? Like the gap in talent is not a sweepable gap, right? When you look at the teams that have been swept in these NBA playoffs, the Warriors swept the Blazers. That's a sweepable gap. The Warriors aren't going to sweep the Cavs. Okay, I feel like you love the Warriors a little bit too much if you think that. And I don't love the Warriors that much. And I do acknowledge that Klay Thompson has been cold, right? And I do acknowledge that it wasn't that long ago that we thought maybe Durant's season is over. It wasn't that long ago that we thought the injury was going to remove him from ending the NBA season on any particular kind of high note. We were actually discussing the possibility of what happens if the Warriors win without KD. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. I look at this and I'm like, man, wow. The ramifications of what happens if the Warriors lose. We could spend the entire summer talking about that. That is several shows worth of stuff. I don't know. Should I be rooting for the thing that gives me more stuff to talk about? Summer is hard in radio, y'all. Summer is hard. So LeBron's been he's been in the news. I don't know if you heard the news update at the top of the hour, but LeBron's house was graffitied. His home in Los Angeles was graffitied. Someone graffitied the N-word onto the front gate of his house. And LeBron said his family's okay and everybody's safe and everything. And so that's good, right? Like that's like priority number one. Everybody's fine. But this to me brings up an interesting thing, because LeBron was saying afterwards, well, you know, doesn't matter how famous you are, being black in America is still tough. And being black in America is pretty tough. It's it's difficult to try and talk about it in a way that does not sound accusatory. I am not standing here attempting to accuse people and attempting to shout people down about race, and I'm not here to call everybody a racist and sound entitled about things. Like, this is what I deserve and this is what I am owed. Because that's what a lot of race conversation comes down to, or what it feels like it comes down to, is people are hurt about racism, as they rightly should be. And then it comes down to a level of, it sounds entitled, of you owe me an apology, or you owe me some kind of reparation. And I don't necessarily think that way, right? Like, I don't think that if someone is being racist, right, that everybody owes me an apology. Now, if someone is being racist, like if I go to, because I go to sports bars to watch a lot of games around town. You can probably find me any given weekend at some sports bar watching some athletic event, right? Like I watch baseball, I watch football. Like you can find me on the weekends out there somewhere, right? And I just like to sit down. I like to get a sweet tea and a burger usually, and then I will just watch a game. If someone says something to me out there, I would not demand that everybody in the room give me an apology. I would demand that the guy that said it give me an apology. Like, that's what I would expect. But it's become this thing where we want everybody to give an apology, and I don't think that that's particularly fair. And I also, one thing that I also don't think is fair is this idea that racism is just something that happens in the South. And like my dad was in the Army. We moved all over the place, and there is an idea, especially people who live up north, that like racism is something that happens in the South. Well, LeBron's house gets graffitied. He's in LA. What's more liberal than California? Right? Like LeBron has this happen to him in Los Angeles. Racism is something that we all can do. It's something that we can all take care of, or all cause and perpetuate. And we've got to figure it out. We do. And I do feel bad for LeBron in this case, because like you don't want like your kids to have to see that at your house and stuff. Like that's awful. And whoever did that should just be ashamed of themselves in like the worst kind of way. But it does also leave you feeling like, man, if LeBron can't get away from it, you know what I mean? Like if LeBron can't be beyond people graffitiing racial slurs on his house, like what about me? Like if people are emboldened enough to say racial stuff about a guy that famous, and let's be honest, like that nice. LeBron James looks like a nice guy. He seems like a nice guy. And also, like he's never been in trouble with the law. LeBron James has never done anything to warrant that kind of vitriol towards him. He's done absolutely nothing. Like LeBron is as clean a guy as we have in the NBA. And I'm not saying that you would have deserved it, by the way, if you had been somebody else, right? Like Allen Iverson brought sort of the hip hop culture to the NBA. I'm not saying if you were Allen Iverson, you would have deserved it. Or if you were somebody like Gilbert Arenas brought guns into the locker room and stuff like that. Like that's stupid. And, Gilbert Arenas and his career ended over that, and his reputation was tarnished over that. He deserved those things. But if someone went and spray painted the N-word onto his house, he would never have deserved that, right? Like he would never have deserved racism as a result of those actions. But like LeBron's been as clean a guy as there is in the NBA. He's as big a star as there is in the world. And if even LeBron is not beyond the level of racism that causes someone to feel bold enough to do that, like what about me, man? Like what about the rest of us? That to me is the part that like really I find worrying. Now, I'm saying if it happens out in California, right? If it happens out in Los Angeles, then this is not a mindset of just Southerners, right? I have not experienced anything like that in my time living in the South. I haven't. The idea that the South is more racist is itself a stereotype that doesn't make any sense, that gets perpetuated, by the way, by Hollywood and everybody else. But it does mean that it's everywhere, though. It does mean that it's something that goes a little bit beyond simply the person who spray painted LeBron's house. Because we live in a world and we live in a climate where that's still a possible thought that you could have. That's still a way of expressing yourself that you're comfortable with. And what I want is, and I feel like we need to continue to make strides forward and not act like racism doesn't exist, but I would like a world where someone is not comfortable doing that even. Where you're uncomfortable because you know that the rest of society looks down on you in the absolute worst way. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM's news now.
On Signal Mountain, the police say that two men pulled up in a vehicle and pointed a gun at two men and demanded their money. The victims are an unnamed man and a juvenile. The police say that the gun that was used in the robbery, however, was not a real firearm. It was a replica gun, looking very realistic. The police say two suspects are in custody. One is 16-year-old and the other an adult, both charged with armed robbery. The EPB credit union was robbed on McCauley, and the police say that no suspects have been arrested yet and nobody was hurt. The FBI is assisting in the investigation. The Sheriff's Department in Grundy County says they have a suspect after items were taken from a cemetery in Grundy County. A 37-year-old Misty Melton Jackson is wanted in connection with these thefts. Deputies tried to arrest her earlier, but she escaped on an ATV. New jobs for the Scenic City Aerotech, looking to fill over 200 positions at the Chattanooga Volkswagen production facility. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News, now.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Becoming fair out there through your nighttime hours. Mild overnight, lows right around 62. Now for your Thursday, another pretty good day. Partly cloudy, mainly dry, warm, highs 85 to 87. Just a slight chance of a shower late Friday, highs mid-80s. Tired of the pressures and hassles of car shopping? Come see one more people are making the short drive to Jackson Chevrolet Buick GMC in Lafayette or online at jacksongm.com. That's Jackson Chevy Buick GMC in Lafayette. And I'm Source 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Hoare on Nooga Radio AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Need windows? Hey folks, do you need new windows? Good news. Window Depot of Chattanooga has a great special going on right now. 10 high-quality, energy-efficient double-hung vinyl windows installed for only $29.90. That's right, 10 double-hung vinyl windows, only $2,990. And yes, they qualify for the TVA rebates. Call 894-0011. Window Depot of Chattanooga today. Located at 5950 Shalford Road. Call 894-0011 today.
The American dream. Home ownership. Are you building equity for your landlord? Why not build that equity for yourself and your family? Rent No More is a no obligation, no cost program. It's designed to teach you the steps necessary and to coach you all along the path to home ownership. Integrity Mortgage Group is owned and operated by local expert Jeff Woody Woodburn. Jeff has been in the mortgage business for over 15 years. Born and raised right here in the Chattanooga area. Jeff is also known as the Lone Ranger. He's helped countless hundreds. Really eager to help you too. So don't wait. Come on, call Danielle right now. You need to reserve your spot for this exciting, informative event. Space is limited, so call now to reserve yours. It's free. 423-517-8004. 423-517-8004. 517-800-8004. Call 423-517-8004. Hey, Nooga Radio is proud to partner with Integrity Mortgage Group to bring you Rent No More. Reserve your spot for this exciting, informative event. Space is limited, so call now to reserve yours. It's free. 423-517-8004. 423-517-8004. Call 423-517-8004. Stop building equity for your landlord. Live the American dream. Home ownership with Rent No More. We'll see you there.
I have the best steak selection in town. Name of the business is Don's Meat Shop, and I'm Donnie Raines. Just ask for Donnie. I make over 20 different types of sausages. Most of them are great for grilling. We have the best selection, best quality. We have the hard-to-find items. Don's Meat Shop.
He stole out so much cash, such a huge mountain of cash, that he's become a national star. Rick Davis, you know the story. Cash, 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 and more cash. People can't believe it. They want to see it. And now Rick Davis has a new TV show. National TV, USA and Canada. He's got the gold and silver, diamonds and rings. You get dizzy just thinking about it. Rick's selling, Rick's buying. Cash, 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 and more cash. And now a mountain of cash catching the Hollywood spotlight. You know where it is. Brainerd Road. Rick Davis, Gold and Diamonds. Cash, 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 and national TV cash. That's really big. Everyone wants to see it. Money flying out the door. Rick Davis is America's jeweler. It's better than Hollywood. It's right here. Cash, 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 and more cash. Rick Davis, Gold and Diamonds. Brainerd Road.
You love me. You really love me.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
I'm blowing everything up. We're starting over. I'm doing a new show. I want guys who push it to the middle of the table and go over the top. Take a risk, fail miserably. I'm right, and I'm not wrong, and I'll never back down. Conflict works. Allow it.
It's The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Right here and everywhere. Noon Eastern.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
AM 1240, 92.7 FM. You're listening to Nooga Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. That's me. And Adam Silver today was weighing in on super teams, right? He was talking about super teams. And I thought it's a little crazy the way we react about super teams, because I feel like we've had loaded teams before. The Celtics in the 80s were loaded, right? I mean, when you look at the Detroit Pistons in the 80s as well, right? Dennis Rodman, Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars. I think what we hate about super teams in today's NBA is that it's not organic, right? Like, it's not that the team drafted some guys and the front office was smart and savvy and we got a trade here and we got a draft pick here. And then we developed the talent into superstar talent, because we didn't have a problem with Westbrook and Durant and Harden when they were all on the same team, right? Because it was organic. They were drafted together. They came up together. Didn't have a problem with the Spurs, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, Tim Duncan, Kawhi Leonard. It's organic, right? Like we had that team won a title. That team is loaded. Okay. Hall of Famer, Manu Ginobili. Hall of Famer, Tony Parker. Hall of Famer, Tim Duncan. Kawhi Leonard, if he continues playing at the rate at which he is playing, could find himself in that conversation as well. But it's very early in his career. And we didn't have a problem with that team. That team's loaded. It's organic. LeBron James goes down to Miami. Everybody goes insane. Kevin Durant goes to Golden State. everybody goes insane. Even though Golden State could have been classified as a super team before Durant got there, right? Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Draymond Green. We have to figure out, like, when you're looking at those guys, like, how do you even pay all of those guys? All of those guys are going to be max contract guys because they're on the all-NBA teams. They are all-stars. But it was organic, so we never had a problem with it, right? And the only teams we'll allow to be built through free agency is if you didn't have a star before, it's okay if James Harden goes to you. If you're Houston, because you didn't really have a superstar, right? It's okay if a superstar goes to you and you didn't have one, right? Like, it's okay if Durant goes to Boston. We like Boston because they didn't have a superstar. It's okay. It's okay if they went to Washington because they didn't have a superstar, right? Like, you could put John Wall at very high-end all-star to very low-end superstar, but, like, if John Wall is a superstar, he just got there. Like, he just got there this season. So people didn't have a problem with Durant going anywhere else but Golden State. But the fact of the matter is Golden State already had superstars on it, and we didn't like it, and it wasn't organic. Even though if you go to the Celtics in the 80s, you could go 1 through 5 of that team. That team was stacked. Okay, but it was organic. It was organic. So we're okay with it if a guy goes there for some reason, it feels like cheating. And that's such a bizarre mentality to me. That's so outside the range for me. Because if your thing is we don't necessarily like superstars, then you shouldn't like it. Like, we don't like super teams, then you shouldn't like it no matter how it happens. Right? Like, if someone drafts into a super team, right, you get a little bit lucky. A guy like Draymond you draft, well, you get Draymond in the second round of the draft. A guy like Steph you draft, Steph is the 7th overall pick. Klay Thompson, like, none of these guys are lottery picks. You just had to be really good with your picks and put a good team together. Even though not everybody has good front office people, not everybody has good owners. It just had to happen organically. That's the only way we'll accept this. That's the only way that you can have a team that's really, really good that nobody will reject. But lots of things in life happen that are very effective artificially. And it's funny because when they talk about diamonds, right? Diamonds are something that the reason why they're so valuable is because they're incredibly rare. Well, you can make diamonds. Like, they can make diamonds in a lab. And molecularly, they'll be the same. Okay? A diamond that they make in a lab is, on a molecular level, the same as a diamond that they dig up out of the ground. But there is a whole market dedicated towards making sure that you get the diamond from the ground. You get the actual real diamond from the ground. Why does it matter? Because it's organic. And people will spend way too much money on diamonds when you could get a synthesized diamond. You could get a diamond made in a lab that on a molecular level is the same as the diamond that came out of the ground. But we don't want the diamond that got made in the lab. We want the diamond that came out of the ground because it's organic. Right? Because it happened naturally. And that's always blown my mind. Possibly because I'm a cheapskate and I don't like spending money on things. But possibly because, so far as anybody can tell, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Like, you can't really tell the difference. I think that there are like 1 or 2 differences to it that, like, you could really tell if someone put it under a microscope, but then that wouldn't be a real diamond, and you get all this stuff. It's not a fake diamond. It's the same molecules that make an actual diamond. But it's not organic. But it didn't happen naturally. Things have to happen naturally. Except that all the time, they don't. when you go to the grocery store and you get food, most of your food did not happen naturally. And the reason why it's pretty inexpensive and pretty cheap for you to buy most of the food that you buy is because it didn't happen naturally, right? Like food gets genetically modified to not necessarily be eaten by bugs so that they don't have to use so many pesticides to keep the bugs off. It's better for the food that way. And then you don't necessarily have to pay all the pesticide cost because that cost gets handed off to the consumer as well. You'd be paying more for food if your food happened naturally. Now, you can have the argument as to whether or not that's actually better for you. There's a big debate going on. There are people that say genetically modified food is horrible for you. There are people that say that it makes no difference and it's fine. I'm not into that discussion so much as what I am willing to say is the reason why most of the food you buy is cheaper is because it is not natural. If you like to go eat out and you eat fast food, the reason why your fast food is not expensive is in large part because it's not completely natural. Like most of the things that you partake of in your life are not completely natural. Right? Like that is a huge deal. If you like meat, if you like vegetables, it doesn't matter. Most of the things that happen in that industry happen on some unnatural level. Somebody is cloning something or messing with it genetically. Like that's happening. If someone is using pesticides, that's not natural. Most of the stuff that you eat is not natural, and you still eat it. And as of this moment, you're still alive. But it's got to be natural. Does it? Does it really? I don't think it has to be. I think the fact that Kevin Durant chose to go to the Warriors does not mean you are suddenly watching artificial sports, right? Like you are not watching an artificial super team. You're still watching a very, very good basketball team that added another player that in his own right is worthy of taking a ton of shots, that's worthy of sort of taking over a basketball game, and he dropped into the system and he fit right in. Because we've had teams before where we thought the chemistry was just going to be ruined. Where someone shows up and you think it's going to be great, and then there's no chemistry. I remember, I believe it was 2011, the Lakers got Steve Nash and Dwight Howard. And they were adding Steve Nash and Dwight Howard to Kobe Bryant and Pau Gasol. And that team looked like a team destined for the NBA Finals. That team looked like they were destined for greatness. Well, as we know, Steve Nash never got healthy. Dwight Howard wasn't any good. Kobe Bryant couldn't get along with Dwight. Pau Gasol faded into the background. This happens a lot of times, and then it doesn't work. Right? Like this happens a lot of times, and it completely falls apart. Because the Dwight Howard that the Lakers thought they were getting, like we're thinking about Dwight Howard the way we think about Dwight Howard now. But the Dwight Howard that the Lakers thought they were getting was Orlando Magic Dwight Howard, right? Like Dwight Howard at his peak, the Dwight Howard that could score 50 points in a game and completely dominate and take over, right? The Dwight Howard that we legitimately considered to be an MVP candidate one season. That Dwight Howard, the Dwight Howard that reminded you of the second coming of Shaquille O'Neal. That was the Dwight Howard that the Lakers thought they were getting. And that was the Dwight Howard. We looked at that and thought, wow, that is horribly unfair. How can you add all of that to Kobe and Nash? And that team didn't work at all. And I mean, failure to launch kind of didn't work. Didn't even leave the launch pad, exploded right there on the ground. That team didn't get into orbit, nothing. Like there are lots of instances where we think these super teams are going to work out, right? Shaq ran all over the league trying to win a ring, which, by the way, I'm surprised that we never held that against Shaq, right? Like the idea, Kevin Durant goes to the Warriors and everyone's like, he's ring chasing. Shaq goes to the Heat, wins a ring, and then like 6 other NBA teams. He went to Cleveland and Boston and Phoenix. Like Shaq was all over the dang league. We didn't hold it against Shaq, right? We did not hold it against Shaquille O'Neal. Did not hold it against Shaquille O'Neal that he was all over the league. But when Shaq went to Miami, right, with Dwayne Wade, and Dwayne Wade was starting to hit his prime, nobody had a problem with that. Right? Like nobody has a problem with it as it happens. Like Shaq went to Cleveland and he was going to join LeBron, and then Shaq broke down spectacularly. It didn't work. Right? Charles Barkley, who mocks a lot of these super teams, Charles Barkley joined Houston to try and win a ring with Hakeem. Didn't work. Like, is it only okay if you're past your prime? Because Charles was past his prime, Shaq was past his prime. Is it only okay if you're past your prime? Is that what it is? Like you can't chase a ring when you're in your prime. But you're allowed to chase when you're past your prime, and everybody's like, oh man, it's a shame that guy never won a ring. Then you're allowed to chase a ring when you're past your prime. Like, we just want it to be difficult, and I don't understand why. Why would you choose the more difficult path? Nobody ever chooses the more difficult path. If I went for a job, right? Because my dream is to just be on national radio. Like, if I went to try and work for one of these national radio stations, and they hired me because everybody else got sick, right? Like, just for some strange reason. Everybody just got laryngitis. And they were like, well, we don't know what the rest of them sound like. Oh, we'll just take you. I'm not going to complain. What, the path was easier for me? So no. We have to redo this interview. Let's come back next week when nobody has laryngitis. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. No way. I'm taking the job. I'm absolutely taking the job. I don't care that it was easier. To which what? Someone might say, well, then that just proves that you're not a great competitor. No, I'm going to prove I'm a great competitor after the fact. I'm going to prove to you while I have the job that I deserve the job. I don't need to do the interview again. No. If there's a way to do something that is easier, do that. Or I suppose you could just do your job and try not to do it without computers, right? Like, the medical technology in this country has made it much easier to be a doctor. Made it much easier to do medicine. I don't want my nurse, I don't want my doctor having to do things with more work. I want things to be easier for my doctor. If I get in trouble with the law, I want things to be easier for my lawyer, not more difficult. I want my lawyer to have every advantage that's humanly possible. Right? Because I want to win. Right? And I don't care that the win came easy or came hard. And like, law is competition too. People don't say that you're uncompetitive just because you want things to be easier. Like, in life, there aren't shortcuts to things. But if you can do something easier, that's not taking a shortcut. That's just being more efficient. Right? Like, Bill Gates famously said he would hire a lazy person. He would hire lazy people because lazy people figure out efficient ways to do things. That's what makes them good at being lazy. Being efficient is not a downside. Being efficient is a great thing. Being efficient is fantastic. It's something that you ought to applaud. Clutch with Keon Rose and AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. Talked a little bit about Tiger Woods. yesterday, the DUI. And it's just another sign that Tiger's done. Right? Like the fact that he's on medication that's causing him to fall asleep at the side of the road. Tiger Woods can tell us until the cows come home that he hasn't felt better in years. But Tiger Woods has been saying he hasn't felt better in years for the last 4 years. Like at some point, we just have to wave the white flag on this thing. But it is pretty crazy. The TMZ report that came out about Tiger Woods. The TMZ report about Tiger Woods. They said the cops spotted Tiger Woods driving erratically all over the road. They said they smelled alcohol on Tiger Woods' breath. He became arrogant. And then the police report, the actual police report about what Tiger Woods said was they found Tiger at the side of the road. Tiger was asleep. He realized that the drugs in his system were making him drowsy. He pulled over to sleep it off. So he was not actually driving his car. He pulled over to sleep it off. And when they found him, he seemed confused. And that to me is, that's not acceptable. That's not acceptable. And I understand that TMZ is a sort of tabloidy place, but people legitimately read TMZ reports to try and understand what's happening in a situation that's developing, because TMZ somehow finds a way to get there early and to get there first. And so if TMZ is going to pass itself off as we've got insider knowledge and we get to these things first, if they're going to pass themselves off as that, then be right. Be correct. And it's one thing to misreport something, because that happens all the time. And I know that we've got our contentions with the media these days and the whole fake news thing. I think the media does overall a pretty decent job. It's impossible to be right 1,000% of the time. But this is not the same as being a little bit off. This is not the same as reporting a thing or two wrong. This is the exact opposite of what happened. TMZ reported the opposite thing of the thing that happened. TMZ reported that he was driving erratically, that the cops smelled alcohol, that he became arrogant. He wasn't driving at all. He was asleep. When they found him, he looked confused. He blew zeros into the breathalyzer. I mean, it's the opposite thing that they said happened. I'm pretty sure that they were just guessing. That they just said, hey, let's report this because it's probably that. And then if we're right, we're right. Because then they said their sources were wrong. Really? Your sources weren't just wrong. Your sources were the opposite thing. That doesn't make any sense at all. And it's not acceptable. Shame on you, TMZ. Calling you out for just straight up being wrong. Watch with Keon rolls on AM 1240 at 92.7 FM. You're listening to Nooga Radio. Remember, folks, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Stay clutch, and I'll see you in 24 hours.
Nooga Radio, AM 1240, 92.7 FM.
Competent, kind, caring, knowledgeable, experienced, great listener, great negotiator, in touch, accessible. If these are the characteristics you want and need in a realtor, you want and need Thomas DeMoss of Keller Williams Realty. Thomas is a very gifted realtor who puts the client's needs first. Whether you're buying or selling a home, Thomas is the realtor of choice. Thomas will help and guide you through each step of this very important process. For many of us, the purchase of a home is one of our largest investments and most important family and financial decision. Let Thomas use his 10 years of experience in the Chattanooga real estate market to give you the advantage you need when buying or selling a home. Buying a house? Thomas can help you navigate the emotional and somewhat anxious process of buying a home. For those of you who want to sell a house, Thomas uses his marketing and negotiating experience to help you sell your home for top dollar. Thomas is a local resident raising his family here in Hamilton County. He knows the area very well. For many agents, real estate is a job. With Thomas DeMoss, it's a passion and what he loves to do. Call Thomas today for a no-obligation consultation. He makes the process as simple as possible. Call 423-364-0028 and visit his website, northriverpropertygroup.com.
Picture that curl of steam rising from your fresh-made pizza. And in a flash, let it take you aloft, teasing all your senses. I'm talking about Jet's Pizza. If you eat out at Jet's in Hickson or take home your steaming deep dish square pizza, you'll love Jet's. They use only the best ingredients in a family recipe. Also try the cheesy bread, wings, chicken, Or bread with bacon, antipasta or Greek salad, Jet's Pizza and Buy Low near the S-Curves. Open till 10 p.m. Sunday through Thursday and 11 p.m. Friday and Saturday. You can order online or have it delivered. jetspizza.com. That's jetspizza.com. Or call them now. They'll have it ready when you get there. 757-1616. That's 757-1616.
Jet's Pizza, the best pizza in town. 3600 Hickson Pike.
Life is short. Eat better pizza.
Let's get Jets.
Final expenses, funeral cost, cemetery lots, unpaid medical bills, probate cost, debts. Debts are due and payable upon death of debtor. Will these costs produce a burden and hardship on your loved ones? Who will be responsible? How will they handle them? These costs can total many thousands of dollars, only compounded greater with the grief of losing a family member. A safe and secure way to provide for these costs is with an affordable life insurance from Covenant Group Insurance and Financial Services. Covenant Group is a local company with local agents. Covenant Group still makes house calls. Covenant Group only represents A-rated companies. With many options to offer, Covenant Group can accommodate almost any budget. Great discounts for good health and plans available for impaired risk. Call today for a free, no-obligation consultation in the convenience of your home. Call Steve or Jada at 423-855-8484. Call today, 423-855-8484.